Hey guys, and welcome to another brand new video. In this video, we actually have some pretty crazy news where it seems like PlayStation fans are now, well, all around excited that the brand new CEO is being selected and Jim Ryan is actually leaving. Now, if you guys have kind of missed the drama these past few days, Jim Ryan, who has been the current acting CEO of PlayStation, has decided that in the next few months, he's going to be moving on and, well, trying to go and retire. He's ready to just kind of go do other stuff, didn't like the idea of it, and, well, some folks are saying that he actually did a really good job on the management and production and making the console, the PlayStation 5, during the pandemic. A lot of folks are also very upset about, well, the direction that PlayStation might be going and why they might be happy he actually might be leaving. So we're going to talk about this, talk about the community drama and everything else, and of course, make sure you guys are subscribed with the notifications on. We have two kind of big announcements before this video starts, so if you guys don't mind. Number one is we are still doing the Meta Quest sponsorship with Best Buy, #ad. Those are linked down below in the comment section and description, so you guys want to go check that out now, get a bunch of pre-order details and good stuff with that one. Link down below just for Best Buy itself and the how link. And number two, if you guys want to go swing by Twitch, we also have a 25% off gift subs and brand new subs, I think, for the next, basically the next day or so. So we're doing some fun stuff, doing some drinks, so follow down below, put on notifications on Twitch if you guys want. Of course, for the Twitch stream, let's go down the video itself. Sorry for the little bit longer sellout intro. So first and foremost, if you guys have missed it, as we mentioned, there's basically a big departure going on. Whenever there's like a big celebrity in the gaming universe, think Phil Spencer, Jim Ryan, Reggie from Nintendo, these really big public spokespeople kind of have a big weight when it comes to their company. They want to make sure that people are happy, but as well, if they want to sell consoles, make the shareholders happy, probably first and foremost. CEOs are pretty public facing, at least in the gaming scene, so this is kind of a weird thing because people have been kind of split on if they're happy that Jim Ryan left or not. But a lot of fans are actually cheering right now about Jim Ryan leaving, where he oversaw the successful launch of the PlayStation 5, which we all can probably agree has been a very good launch, and his 4-year tenure as the CEO was also, well, kind of somewhat tainted with a lot of bad things too as well. So hello everyone, they're trying to go and find out why gamers rooted for the departure of PlayStation boss Jim Ryan, but first, they had a few little various things. CSGO 2, I've played it, have been horrible, I've tied all my games, I'm not joking, I've tied 2 of my 3 games, and as well, I also had a brand new GameStop chairman, but for this, we saw kind of conflicting stuff. While the PlayStation's been a really good initial console, it's been really good on sales, projecting to be insane, especially throughout a pandemic and semiconductor issues, but there's also been a lot of drama as well, such as the PlayStation Plus price increases, PlayStation Now going away, them getting rid of some incentivization, such as that PlayStation brand new game features, we had the PlayStation Plus, you had those free games, a lot of very small things that have been kind of anti-consumer, as well as also trying to go and push things like the PlayStation Portable without proper good streamability. It's more so through Bluetooth, unlike all the controllers, PlayStation VR being kind of mediocre, a lot of various things like that. But basically, a lot of these video game enthusiasts don't normally care too much about executive shuffling, but the news this week of the retirement of Jim Ryan, boss of Sony's PlayStation, evoked an odd reaction from gamers, with a lot of people cheering. Now, I'm going to go and say I think he didn't round up to that bad. He was a little bit more low-key. I feel like I see Phil Spencer tweeting more, talking more, interviewing more, discussing more, and Jim Ryan kind of just chimes in when he kind of has to, or throughout legality issues. So I'm not necessarily anti-Jim Ryan for this video, but I can see maybe why people are happy, though. So when I broke the news of Ryan's departure Wednesday afternoon, I was mildly surprised to see a barrage of celebratory gifts and memes from PlayStation fans declaring that they were thrilled to see him go. After all, he oversaw the launch of PlayStation 5, God of War Ragnarok, Horizon, and apparently was he just doing a decent job. Yet Ryan's 4-year tenure was also marred by controversy, in part because of his tendency to lift up his foot and insert it into his mouth. So kind of some big words, but think about it when it came to the Activision acquisition. There was a lot of really bad PR and how he was handling that when it kind of seemed like Xbox was a little bit gracious, although that was a really big back and forth. So Ryan, a marketing guy who started in Sony in 1994, worked in various roles across the organization, mostly in Europe, before taking the role of president in 2019. In contrast to previous faces of PlayStation, such as the serene Sean London and the video game-loving Suhei Yoshida, Ryan came off as many as a slick corporate businessman, that is, when he wasn't racking up embarrassing gaffes, which kind of makes sense. He's like a marketing guy. Marketing guys usually want to speak when they have to speak, and they want to try to get some hype behind their consoles, their games, or whatever. Marketing is not necessarily the world's worst CEO to have, but it definitely kind of has their own twist of what they like to manage and work on and their own kind of biases. So at one point, he infuriated the retro games fans. So first and foremost, retro gamers, because they said that the old PlayStation 1, 2 games looked ancient. Why would anyone even want to play these old school style games, which I agree is, well, kind of a bad take. I myself usually do prefer better and nicer graphics, but the part two of this is that, well, yeah, I mean, you just gotta accept that people like that. You shouldn't really insult games, especially games that might make your company money, or even old school classic PlayStation games. Another time, while tooting the company's accomplishments in Europe and Asia, Ryan claimed that people have never played games before the PlayStation in the Middle East, which was also false, obviously, but at the same time, people who are from or live in the Middle East are like, what's going on with this, bro? And then perhaps the biggest flub came in after 2022, just after the Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade. Rather than take a stance on abortion rights, as some staff have hoped, Ryan wrote that we owe it to each other and PlayStation's millions of users to respect differences of opinion among everyone in our internal and external communities. As we reported at the time, he went on to tell a goofy story about his cats and a desire to get a dog. Now, I do remember kind of reporting funny enough on, I think, in all three of these stories, so I can vouch that these were kind of somewhat controversial, and people did care, and people who watched those videos when I made them. But at the same time, a lot of these drama things are, I don't want to say normal, because this really isn't normal at the end of the day, but it's kind of weird to see that, well, even a CEO would even touch on some of this stuff. Like, I feel like Phil Spencer kind of stays in his lane and mainly talks about gaming rather than other various side things, and usually has positive things to say on, like, let's say Nintendo or PlayStation or other various things as well. But yeah, a lot of people didn't like a lot of these comments, and rightfully so. So the corporate abstaining from supporting abortion rights was not a huge surprise, which I don't want to say it's fine, but it's corporate, it's different than, like, individual opinions. I get it too as well. But the lighthearted email came off as tone deaf, and a lot of people saw it. It got leaked, and people are upset about it on either side. So who took the internal channels to express their dismay? Insomniac Games, a PlayStation-owned studio behind Spider-Man, wanted to make a $50,000 donation to women's rights organizations, but was forbidden from speaking publicly about it. So you can kind of tell there's maybe a little bit of corporate drama going on as well. We're like, well, hey, we have the marketing budget. We're going to drop $50K. We don't really care what Jim Ryan has to say. We're going to go support our own rights and go from there. So there was like internal drama too. It seems like even the overall fans, because we even saw articles of people being like, hey, like he was a business guy. They said like the launch was a success. And after that, PlayStation was going the direction opposite though of how they got there. Like they kind of have their core of things like, what's it called? Have things like playing, just making good games, like Last of Us, God of War. And then that's about it. Like that's what we expect from PlayStation, just good games. On the reverse, they're having rising PS Plus prices, abandoning old IPs, monetization backwards capability, focusing on gas and third-party action cinema games, and basically like a lot of folks are like, yeah, like you probably could have fine-tuned the stuff a little bit better, and people are kind of upset about it at the end of the day. Now, I'm indifferent. Like I just hope the new CEO has good directions, good morals, and doesn't kind of change up stuff too much. But yeah, either way. So communication mistakes aside, Ryan's 4-year tenure as boss of PlayStation had mixed results. The PlayStation 5 has sold more than 40 million units, more than double the rival Xbox. And not quite as rapid a clip as the previous PlayStation 4. The console was hampered for years due to COVID-related supply issues that have now been mostly good, and as well, they also had some pretty good exclusives as well, such as Demon's Souls and Final Fantasy. So, I mean, I feel like he did okay in the terms of, like, CEO and business-wise, but, like, the overall public reception didn't really seem that well. Although he still doesn't feel like the next generation of video games has really started, despite the fact that we're 3 years in. The console is undoubtedly a success, and I would probably agree on that. So, either way, it depends on when you look at it. I think overall people are very upset about some of the various inside things. Over the last 2 years, though, Ryan has overseen a PlayStation shift towards games as a service, which is probably one of the bigger issues, a popular industry buzzword referring to video games, usually multiplayer, that can be monetized over long periods of time. So think like a Fortnite, Destiny 2, Bungie, etc. It's been an uncomfortable pivot for some of the Sony studios because, well, like I said before, and this might be a separate video as well, a lot of folks like the idea of, well, good individual games. Last of Us, Uncharted, God of War. That's what they like and kind of know from Sony. And while there is a lot of live service games, but they mainly want to have more single-player games. They want to focus more on that. So that's a big thing to go and see. So, yeah. This has been an uncomfortable pivot, though, for a lot of these studios because people want to know, they want to make what they're used to. Like, you want to have a Last of Us Part 3, not a Last of Us multiplayer, or a God of War next game versus a God of War multiplayer, MMO, whatever it might be. So folks are also kind of scared about that because that's like the direction they're heading, and the next CEO probably has to follow it because these games have already been probably in production for a while. So single-player blockbusters are still in the works, though, and thankfully they still have things like Spider-Man coming very soon. But Sony's stable of game studios such as Naughty Dog, Last of Us, Insomniac, Spider-Man, and Guerrilla Games Horizon have also been working on multiplayer service games with mixed levels of success. Most have not been revealed yet. Some have been canceled or overhauled, such as the online game based on The Last of Us, which people are still skeptical on. So a lot of folks are kind of curious on this one because Ryan himself It's like, hey, like we got this Destiny acquisition, we'll make it cool. But at the same time, it might be out of meta now. Like back in the day, where there's a lot of zombie games, survival games, out of meta, or like MMOs, out of meta. And maybe right now, live service, especially that we saw Fortnite not doing so well, might be the next big major issue too. Or maybe like in this point, like I even said, even for this one, Fortnite isn't making as much money as it once did. So this might actually be a bad bet that pays off, doesn't pay off in the future. So that's about my thoughts. Make sure you guys give me yours. It kind of seems like just reminded a lot of little things that irked folks, although he's now moving on. I want to hear your thoughts and comments down below. Like you said, if you guys want to check out the Meta Quest pre-order on Best Buy, link down below, hashtag ad for that one, on the How link in the comment description and all that. We also have the Twitch if you guys want to go and do any subs, gift subs, or hanging out on shows to get drunk. Link down below in the Twitter and Twitch room as well. And I appreciate y'all so much for watching in the first place.